Hello, this is a brief tutorial about using the pen tool. The pen tool is located over here specifically, and if you want to use the short key to get to it, you just hit P on your keyboard. Now, the pen tool is nice for creating custom shapes. In order to use it, you click and that makes a point, and now you can see that now I have a line that's connected to my cursor, and anywhere I click on that, it's going to put another point, and I'm just continuing my line. So I'm going to quickly click and click, and then this I haven't clicked yet. This symbol is nice because sometimes people miss on completing their shape and they think they're done, but when you have the pen symbol with the circle by it, you know you are completing the shape and that this is going to be a closed shape. So I'm going to click on that. And now this is a completed shape. If I go back to the black arrow tool, we can see that it's a shape. And if I swap the fill and stroke, it will become a filled in shape, and I can drag that around as I need. Now, as I alluded to just barely, the pen tool works best with strokes. You can have fills going at the same time, but sometimes it becomes a little hard to see. For example, if I were to do this, now it'd be hard to come back in here and know exactly where I want things because of this fill. But if anything, it's a minor inconvenience. I usually don't have the stroke on when creating the shape, and then when I want the fill later, I just swap back over. Anyway, there's a few different symbols that are useful to know when using the pen tool. So, one of them is, well, first, if I want to stop a line, so I've made 2 points already, and if I want this to be my line, all I have to do is hit the escape button on the keyboard. You'll notice I no longer am drawing that line, and it's independent. If I, for whatever reason, wanted to come back and continue this line, but not have to create a whole new line right by it, I can hover over the last point I made with the pen tool, and you'll see that slash icon that appears by the pen tool. And I click on that point, and now I have a continuation of that line that I was making, and I can complete my shape. Up to this point, I've just been making straight lines, but the pen tool is nice because you can also make curved lines. And how you do that is you make a point, go to a different area, and you click, but before you let go, you drag. And that starts making curves. In very basic terms, you can control your curve because it goes in the opposite direction you drag. So when I drag down, my curve goes up. When I drag right, my curve goes left. When I drag left, my curve goes right. When I go up, my curve goes down. And you'll notice that when I let go, that it gave me these handlebars that are shooting off the anchor point, and then my continuation of my line is very curved. I can't make it go quite as straight. Now, there's a way to fix that. If I wanted to make a straight line directly off of this, all I would have to do is go back to the last point I was on, and that little caret symbol appeared. And when I click on that point, it'll remove one of those handlebars, and I can make a straight line shooting off of that. Now, explaining these handlebars a little bit more, when I'm going to quickly click and draw and make this shape, and using the white arrow tool, I'm going to mess with these handlebars. Now these handlebars are connected, so you'll notice when I move one, it seesaws the other. And if I come close, it affects the other one as well. And when I let go, it'll change that. You can also, with the wide arrow tool, come over this edge, and you can see that I have that curved line by it. That means I can move the line directly as well. All of these things can be done with the anchor point tool over here as well, but the difference is that the anchor point tool does it independently. So let me show you what I mean. So if I were to grab this handle, notice I'm just moving one side now. This is a broken handlebar. And if I wanted to fix this curve again, I'd go over this anchor point with the anchor point tool and click and drag. And now those are connected handlebars again. Now, while we're talking about the anchor point tool, it's worth noting that you can change curves to corners and corners to curves. So here's a corner right here, and if I click and drag just like before, I can get that curve. And now if I click on that curve, that anchor point with the anchor point tool, it'll snap back into a corner. The last thing really that I wanted to cover on this brief tutorial is adding and taking away anchor points. So you can do this with the pen tool, but they also created specific tools for this. You can add anchor points with the add anchor point tool, which just like it sounds like, I'm just adding anchor points to this line that I can then move around. And then the delete anchor point tool, I'm going to use to delete those anchor points, and you'll see that line jump back. I'm going to use Control Z and undo that real fast to demonstrate the difference between the delete anchor point tool and just deleting a point. So if I'm using the white arrow tool and I clicked on this point and then I just hit delete on my keyboard, you'll notice that line completely disappeared, which isn't what I want. And so that's why it's nice to have this delete anchor point tool. I can just click on that point and the line is still connected between the two remaining points, and I don't have to recreate that side. So that was about anchor points and using the pen tool in very brief. I hope that this helps you to be able to create some of your creations and designs, and I hope that it helps.